My name is Laurel Kane, and you are at Afton Station in Afton, Oklahoma on beautiful Route 66. And the building was built in 1930 as a DX gas station. That's a regional brand. And we bought it in the 90s. It hadn't been a gas station since the 80s when we got it. So it needed an entire restoration, which we did. And we built an extra building out back and brought in a lot of antique automobiles, mostly Packards, which my husband and I had collected for many, many, many years when we lived back east in Connecticut. We brought them down over the course of a year, which included 17 trips with the car trailer, with one car in each trailer load. And we finally got them all here and opened up about 3 years after we bought the place, and have been entertaining visitors ever since. And oh, we love our visitors. I'm sure others have probably mentioned to you that a great number of our visitors are from foreign countries, and they're always interesting. And I find it interesting that we have a lot of young honeymoon couples from other countries. Because really, I don't think we've ever had any American honeymoon couples. Most of the Americans who come here are more my age, people who love Route 66 for the same reason I do, because I remember it as a kid. My dad loved to travel, and we traveled constantly, and we were often on Route 66. And I tell people that traveling with my mom and dad, well, traveling mostly with my dad, was just like, I have no siblings, but it was just like having another sibling with me, because he was just like a kid when it came to stopping at every single tourist trap and seeing everything along the way. So I grew up loving this. And I also grew up wishing that I owned an old motel on Route 66. But then when I got old enough to realize how much work that is to own a motel, I'm very happy to have this, because I can meet all the people I want to meet here, and it's a lot less stressful. We have awfully interesting visitors that come by, and I'd love to tell you about one in particular who was from France, and he arrived here on stilts. And I'm not saying little stilts like we had when we were children. I'm talking about his feet were probably, they were taped onto the stilts probably 6 feet up. I mean, he had to duck to get in the door, he had to duck to get under our fans. And he was walking across Route 66 on his stilts. And then he said that he was going to be staying in Tulsa, which is about 80 miles down the road, that night, and could we find a place for him to stay. But he wanted to stay right on Route 66. Now, some of the motels in Tulsa on Route 66 are not the nicest in the world, but we found the nicest of them at the time for him. And that night I went home and I was watching the news on TV. There was a murder at that hotel. So, I thought, I can't believe we put him up at a motel like that. So I came up here the next day and was sitting here, and the phone rang, and it was him. And I started out by saying, I'm so sorry about what happened at your motel. And he said, it was wonderful. It was just like the Wild West. And that is certainly my most memorable visitor in 9 years of many memorable visitors. Every day is different, and every day is wonderful.